drew near for him to be taken up to heaven, Jesus resolutely took the road for Jerusalem and sent messengers ahead of him. These set out, and they went into a Samaritan village to make preparations for him. But the people would not receive him because he was making for Jerusalem. Seeing this, the disciples James and John said, "Lord, do you not want us to call down the fire from heaven to burn them up?" But he turned and rebuked them, and they went off to another village. As they traveled along, they met a man who on the road said to him, "I will follow you wherever you go." Jesus answered, "Foxes have holes, and the birds of the air have nests, but the Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head." Another, to whom he said, "Follow me," replied, "Let me go and bury my father first." But he answered, "Leave the dead to bury their dead. Your duty is to go and spread the good news of the kingdom of God." Another said, "I will follow you, sir, but first let me go and say goodbye to my people at home." Jesus said to him, "Once the hand is laid on the plow, no one who looks back is fit for the kingdom of God." The Gospel of the Lord. Can you recall a moment or two or three when you felt, sensed, and recognized the presence of God in your life? Just take your time to recall those moments. Spiritual writers have provided indicators for us to determine if God is actively present in our lives. Some gave 10, some gave 15, some gave 20. But since I'm Anthony, I'll just give 3. First one, desire. Second one, peace. Third, forgiveness. People say that if you have desire, peace, and forgiveness, God is present in you. How about the word desire? Have you ever missed your loved one? Have you experienced that, missing them? Or you don't miss them? Or you want to miss them? Or you don't want to, or probably you have a good aim, so you won't miss your loved one. When we desire for their presence, even though in their absence, we feel that they are there. Some of you who miss their lover, their partner, their spouse, will sometimes pull their pillows and smell the pillow, because for some, it reminds them of the hair of their partner, their lover, or their spouse. And by smelling it, it seems his or her presence is made felt at that particular time. When we desire for God, we allow God to be present in our lives. When we hunger for God's presence, God is there. God is present when we desire for God. Scriptures is replete with stories about desiring God. When our hearts hunger or thirst for the presence of God, God is there in the hunger and in the thirsting. So God is present when we desire for God. Second, peace. Not this kind of peace. Have you gone to Woodstock, especially the relatively young members of this community? Were you there? Smoking pot, making peace, flower power. That's not the kind of peace that I'm referring to. The kind of peace that I'm speaking of is that inner tranquility deep within us. When we're confronted by problems and anxieties in life, we can face our problems face to face with a smile on our face because we know and we're convinced that God will assist us in whatever challenges come our way. So there's inner peace, inner tranquility within us. When we hope and trust in our God, God is there. God is very much alive in our desire for our lives to be better. God is there. Third, forgiveness. When was the last time you forgave your favorite enemy? Never. But when we forgive those who have offended us, those who have hurt us, God is also there. Some say that to err is human, but to forgive is divine. Exactly, because to forgive someone is not an easy task. It's a difficult task. It's not typical for human beings, for us, to forgive others. I mean, if you know that if you touch fire, it will burn your hand, and you've experienced burning your hand, would you on the following day touch again the same fire? Yes. Of course not. For those who have offended us, for those who have hurt us deeply, for those who have wounded us deeply, we will never go back to them. We will never forget them because it hurts us. But as soon as we are able and ready to forgive those who have deeply offended us, because to forgive is divine, God is present in that act of forgiving. God is present when we forgive the people who have hurt us and wounded us. So, when was the last time you encountered God? When was the last time you desired for God? When was the last time you experienced inner tranquility, inner peace in your life? When was the last time you deeply, sincerely forgave someone who hurt you? Because in those moments, you encountered your God. And when you encountered your God, how did you respond? Are you like the Samaritans in today's gospel reading? When James and John went to their place, told them that the Master, Jesus, is coming, they said, no, he can't come. He can't go inside our house. He can't have a meal with us. Are you like the Samaritans? You hid under your tuna because it's lovely this weather. I'd rather sleep than meet my God. Or do you stand out of your bed and fall on your knees and relish the presence of your God in your life? Or are you like the three men in today's gospel? The last two, when Jesus told them to follow me, the last two, did you also make excuses? No, I have other things to do. I have to bring my children to footy, or to tennis, or to soccer room. So I'm busy to encounter my God. Do you also make excuses when you realize that you're about to encounter and experience your God? Do you tell your God, I have other stuff to do? I have to buy my lotto ticket or go to pokies? Do you make excuses when you're about to encounter your God? Or are you like the first kid, the first man in today's gospel, when he said, I will follow you? We're not sure what happened after that, because when that man told Jesus that I'll follow you, Jesus told him, foxes have holes, birds have nests, but the Son of Man has nowhere to place his head. The gospel didn't tell us if he really followed him or not, but I can imagine that he followed him because he knows the demands of the gospel. When you meet your God, do you know the demands that is exacted from you? And even though you're confronted with the demands of Christian living, do you still embrace your God? Do you still follow your God? Today we're invited to follow him and hopefully transform our lives so that when people meet us, we can stand by the challenge of the second reading. We can easily love people because we have been loved and transformed by our God. So let's not hide under our Duna and embrace the God who calls us by our name, asking us to follow him.